This episode of Finding Demo Surf Fishing is being brought to you by Ninja Tackle. NinjaTackleVA.com. Go take a look at the website and get yourself completely immersed in the amount of great gear that Matt has. Rods covered, 7-footer up to 13. Super great. I absolutely love my daggers. They are wonderful rods. They do so many great things for me when it's inshore, surf, offshore, kayak. He's got one covered. Rigs, reels, all there. Any other kind of supporting equipment? Yeah, he's got that hooked up in there too. Real quick shipping and also phenomenal customer service. Matt's that guy. He's going to make sure he takes care of you. If you're into firearm and firearm accessories, the Ninja Tactical side's got you covered. Glock parts, optics, whole bunch of things on there you should take a look at. Great stuff. So NinjaTackleVA.com. Go take a look. Get your order in today. You won't be sorry. What is up, happy people? Hope you're doing well wherever you are in the world and things have been going great for you this fishing season. Things are warm in Florida. The summer is summering, that's for sure. And the fishing is very summering too, because summer fishing is a whole different ball game. If you're not from Florida, surf plays an interesting game. Offshore does, inshore, the whole thing. But this week, I'm very excited to talk to you about something new because I have zero knowledge about this. And ever since Vincent reached out to me, I have been YouTubing, TikToking, Instagramming, reeling, anything about the word bow fishing. And it's a whole different world. I was just enthused. Enthused is the best word because enthralled is probably a better one, but I don't want to get into my addiction words yet. Really cool stuff. So we're going to be talking with the Fin Reaper, Vincent Williams. He's out of South Florida in Orlando. I call that South Central. I guess that's probably the better one. And we're going to be going all through the whole gambit, and he does a lot of really cool things with this. And all his links are going to be back on findingdemosurffishing.com. It's going to be on the website, or I'm sorry, on the links where you get this podcast. You can go back, you can pull that up, and you can read all about the stuff that he does, and you can follow him on these adventures because it's going to be really fun. All right, done flapping my jibs. Let's get him on the show. Vincent, welcome, man.
Yes, thank you for having me. Yeah, good morning. Good morning. It's nice to be here.
Bow fishing.
Oh man,
bow fishing.
Are you ready for this, man? Well, yeah, whole different world. Just like you said, whole different world.
I mean, I've always said with surf fishing's a niche. It is because it's a smaller community. The bass fishermen, they own the market. Anything in the saltwater lakes, that they completely dominate the market. Mm-hmm. And bow fishing is a niche. Y'all, you go anywhere. There are some crazy regulations with it, nothing out of the box.
Right.
I've found that there's a lot of planning, especially when it comes to your equipment and how to do things, and the learning curve is steep.
Yes. I mean, you're shooting an arrow, it's archery.
I mean, and into water. I mean, if anybody's a shooter with weapons or anything like that, if you shoot into water is very quick to stop the round. An arrow is not much different. It's a high velocity getting in and getting slowed down. There is so many different facets that you have had to pick up with this, man. It is impressive.
Oh yes. I mean, even down to math, right? It's simple math, and how low the fish is from the water. You have to count the reflections, ripples, all trajectories, all of it, like you're a sniper.
Yeah.
It's.
Dude, I think it's so cool that you found this. And I mean, I am super thankful that you found me and let me share your story and your knowledge on this, because I think this is, I don't want to say untapped, but I think this is going to be a fun resource for if people get into. It's going to be a quick addiction.
Yes. Oh yeah. It was for me. I can tell you that it was for me. And that's why I like doing this, to share and say, hey, this is out here. This is, and anybody can do it. That's that loves to be outdoors. Oh
No.
yeah.
Well, let's start at the very beginning, man. Let's rewind the tape all the way back here. Tell us your story and what got you into fishing.
So to be honest, like I'll be 100% honest. I was never really a good fisher, right? I was never a good fisherman. With My dad got me started fishing when I was, I don't know, maybe about 7 or 8. We go fishing, here and there. But it wasn't like an everyday thing. We weren't out all the time, but enough for me to know how to bait a hook and get a fish. And then when I got into my adult years, I fished here and there. And then I tell you, maybe 3 months ago, I picked up a bow and said, "Hey, I want to shoot a fish with this." Right. So basically, what happened was I was fishing. Right. Now I was never really successful. I'd see fish and say, "Man, I can see the fish right here." Like if I could just go in there and grab them, or just like they're not biting, right? Like I said, I was never doing all the fancy schmancy things these guys do and all the fancy. So I said, man, if I can maybe shoot them some kind of way, right? And I had no idea about bow fishing, right? I didn't even know yet, right? And this, when I say this is like 4 months ago, right? And then I said, man, maybe, what if I shoot an arrow at them, right? And then I Googled shooting an arrow at fish, and then boom, bow fishing came up. And I said, wow, look at this. I can do this. Because I don't want, I'm tired, like I'm patient, but I'm very impatient when it comes to fishing. Right. I want to, if I cast it, I want it to come, But now with bow fishing, I don't have to guess. I can see where my meal is going to come from. Right. I can see which fish I want to shoot and which fish I don't want to shoot. Right. So, that's what opened me up. And then just like how you Googled, you just get in a rabbit hole of finding all these things, and I said, wow, I can do this. Right. Picked up a bow and started going out there. Right. Started going to the spots where I would fish before, and say, hey, there's a fish, I can see it. Boom. And I just found so much success uh, in the beginning. Like I said, 4 months ago, I've killed dozens and dozens of fish, right? And within a short time period, right? So that's kind of where it started, just being impatient, not wanting to wait to reel something in, in the long run.
Well, that's one way to get things done. I
Yeah,
mean, yeah, it's you've definitely turned it from fishing to catching, which it's
yeah. It's
that's
it's
a win.
hunting.
It is. Yeah, it
Yeah.
sounds like it.
Yeah.
Um, with that one, what's your favorite thing about fishing?
So just like I said, I like the hunt, the thrill of the hunt, because with bow fishing, it's fishing, yes, right. You have your own fishing license, but it's also hunting, right? And the style that I do it, right, because a lot of traditional bow fishing is on a boat, right? At nighttime, you put the lights on, you see the fish, you smoke them, right? But the way I do it is so unique, is where I'm on land and the fish feel the vibrations, right? So you can't just walk up to the water, right? I have to approach the water a certain way. I hide behind trees, I hide in bushes, right? So they can't see me. I'm very still for long periods of time, kind of just blending in with the environment. And because that's a big thing. If the fish see you, they're skittish, right? So the thing that I really love about it is the thrill of the hunt, to catch and kill this fish. Because I hunt fish like you would hunt a deer, like you would hunt a coyote, or something. So it's just the aspect of being able to fish, but I have a weapon that I can use to fish.
Very nice, nicely put. Fun
Yeah.
fire alarm in the back. That's not your building, is it?
Yeah, no, it's of course, and it just happens to go off, right?
Of course. That's Mr.
Yeah.
Murphy, and then it's a
Yes.
requirement to have Mr. Murphy.
Yes, I know. Oh my goodness. Is it loud there?
It's not bad. It's fine.
Yeah.
I just, as long as it
Okay.
wasn't your building, you didn't have to evacuate. We're all good. That was the important
No.
part.
No, 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 no. No
Okay,
good stuff.
so what is a bucket list fish that you want to catch sometime?
Oh yeah. So I like big fish, right? The biggest fish was probably some big tilapia that I've killed, but eventually I want to get down to Louisiana, Texas, and get a buffalo. I heard those were really, really good fish to get. I heard somebody else say that if he could just get one fish for the rest of his life, it'd be a buffalo. And I see guys killing them. And I said, and I don't think we have them. Do we have them here in Florida?
I don't think so. I
Yeah, I don't.
really feel
Yeah,
like that's more of a no. I don't think we do.
right. Yeah, yeah. I don't think so either. So that's why I said Texas, Louisiana. That. And Gator Guard too. So those are kind of the two that I'm looking. I look at. I'd love to be able to shoot a Gator Guard, right? Nice headshot. Aim it right and reel it in. Pick that bad boy up. You see how big those things are?
Yeah, it's freaking
Those
ridiculous,
those
dude.
things are ridiculous. So that's I guess that'd be on the bucket list too. So yeah, the Buffalo, and the Gator Guard.
So I'm gonna do a little side here because you said something
Okay.
that caught my attention when you talk about headshot. So I've done episodes where I've talked about EKG and how important it is to hit the brain spike. It's it's an instantaneous death.
Right.
When you're doing headshots with fish, is that kind of, I mean, almost the same thing you're doing going through the brain stem, or is it
Yeah.
kind of like,
Yeah.
hey, I got the eye? Either way, it's still a holder.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of aim them. I mean, fish heads are weirdly shaped,
Yeah.
So you kind of, when you're shooting at a fish anyway, it's a certain way. You never aim at the fish, right? You aim at the fish, you'll miss every time you hit high. What I do is I aim a lot lower, right, and then I aim, where the head's going to be or where the head's, because once the arrow pierces the water, fish is going to move. So you kind of want to, plan ahead where he's going to be, right? So it hits the head, and I try to head neck area, and then they're most of the time they're gone before I even reel them in. So that's a pretty good positive thing to it. Doesn't all the time happen, but if you look at my page, I have a lot of headshots with a lot of these fish. So
You do. And that's why it
yeah,
made me wonder because quite a few of them, I'd say pretty large amount of them actually after your hit they was just reel in and wasn't
hmm
there wasn't
yeah,
anything else, and I was like, this seems very EKG-ish. And
yeah,
it was pretty cool to see that, so I was like, I had to
yeah,
ask about that. All right, last
yeah.
one in this category and we'll get you
Yep.
out onto the next one. What
Sure.
is there any kind of memorable fishing stories, including unexpected, like, oh wow, okay, I didn't expect that, it looked different,
Yeah,
or challenging situations that you got yourself into and like, that was a win?
yeah. I tell you what, the first time I I drawed back my string and aimed at a fish, and hit it, which was the first day I went out there. The first day I went out there, within 20 minutes, blew my mind and said, "Wow, I can do this!" Right? 20 minutes later, I did it again. This is the first day, so I said, "Wow, I can do this," and completely unexpected, but still expected, because I said, "Hey, I know that I can do it." So I expected to do it, but once I saw the reality of, "Hey, I just eliminated this fish. It's huge, and I'm going to cook this," it unexpected blew my mind. And then it opened up it opened up my mind in a way, saying, "Wow, this is now I'm doing what I'm seeing these people doing, and I'm having great success starting off." You know, so yeah, I'd say initially. Here's another one for you too. I do a lot of night hunting, right? Night shooting, and a lot of times I don't use lights, so I get my eyes adjusted to the dark. I just stare at the water for a long time. I'm not on my phone, and I stare at the water, and I see movements. Right, I see shadows and everything. And one time it was on my pitch too. I hit a gar, right? And gars, it wasn't the hugest gar, but it wasn't the small. But gars are long, right? They're skinny, and at nighttime, to be able to hit that in the dark, barely seeing it, you're shooting off a shadow, right? So I'm aiming everything off a shadow, and I shot it, hit that bad boy, flopped around, pulled it in, dead, dead. Before it even got out the water. So I said, "Wow, that completely blew my mind." That was like the first, second week I was doing it too. So I said, "Man, that's unexpected, to say the least."
And was that the target species for the night?
That was swimming close to me at the time,
Oh,
where I
okay.
could see.
Oh, no,
Yeah,
no.
I was. Yeah,
Was
yeah, I
that
was
your goal?
targeting.
Was it? Oh, you were
No, it
targeting
wasn't.
them.
No, I
Oh, okay.
wasn't. I was targeting a catfish, but it happened to swim by, and they're an invasive species, so we took it out.
Oh, by all means.
Oh
If
yes,
you can get that.
absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah, I didn't know if you were fishing for gar that night or something different. Okay, cool. So it's
yeah, yeah,
still a win. So
yeah.
either way, there,
Winning,
that
yeah,
deal.
absolutely.
Now so this is a little bit of a game in its sense, and you've already talked
Mhm.
about this too with the earlier part. You approach it as hunting. You have a plan. You're going to do stuff there. So let's talk
Oh
about the
yeah.
planning phase. How do you plan your fishing trip?
So it's a lot of different. aspects. When I plan it, first I have to make sure the location where I'm going to go is going to be good. It's either, if I haven't been there before, the sun needs to be out and I need to be able to see. So I got to check the weather. That's the first thing. I can't go when it's very cloudy. It makes it harder. I mean, there's times where I've gone cloudy and been successful, but I try not to. But to plan it out, make sure my bow is in op. There's times where I get out there, I draw back, and I feel something weird in my bow, or I have to adjust, and then it's like, hey, I'm ready for a shot, but now I can't shoot it because something will happen. So I want to make sure my equipment's good. That's a very, very important part of the planning, is making sure my arrows are good, my arrowheads are straight, my knot on my arrow is good because I've lost in the beginning. I've lost 8 or 9 $20 arrows, $20 each arrows, right? By shooting them, and then the arrow, I didn't tie a good enough knot on the slide because it's a certain knot, right? And the arrow just takes off and it's arrows in the water. And I said, man, learn. So make sure my knots are good. That's another thing. Make sure you have my spare arrows, water cooler. Basically, I like to go like on little hikes, right? So I like to go to my destination. So I'll park somewhere, and then I'll have everything that I need. All my equipment. My arrows, my backpack. My sunflower seeds I like to have, right? All of that, and then map out where I'm going to go, and literally I treat it like a mission. Like I was in the army, right? I treat it like a mission, like I'm in Afghanistan, right? I plan it out, and then make sure everything's good to go. I go to my site, figure out where I'm going to be at the time, because sometimes you might want to set up in a certain spot, but it might not be the best spot because of the lighting, and so I find where I'm going to be, set up my camp, and then we start to play, and then we go. And I normally do this all by myself. It's very hard to find people that are able to do this and have this patience and not talk so much while you're out there and be loud and running around. Unless I give them a little class, which we're working
Okay.
on.
So you brought up spot. Let's talk about spot. And you mentioned
Mhm.
a few different pieces there. Sunlight, weather, temp,
Yeah.
shades, all that. Let's talk
Mhm.
about those. So, what is it a spot that is ideal for you?
A spot that's ideal. What, to tell you the truth, it really depends how I feel that day, because I might want something where it's a lot clearer water and I can see them, and it's a little easier. Right, so something open, maybe not a lot of trees, maybe a riverbank, somewhere, that would be good. But there's sometimes where I like to get in the woods, the jungle-ish, the jungle, and kind of fight the clouds, right? Kind of fight the fish, because you can still, if you look good enough, you can still see them. And sometimes they swim topside, So it kind of really depends how I feel. I might want a little harder challenge, or sometimes I might just want clear waters and bridges, wherever I've been before where I know the water is a little clearer. I mean, it's not, we're not in clear water, but it's something like that.
Okay. Man.
Yeah.
I love you brought up Clearwater.
Yeah.
So, when it comes to, because we're playing in a different game here, you're in the backwater,
Yeah.
you're walking around, you're
Mhm.
creek bed, riverside, all those pieces. What kind of conditions get you to look at and identify and be like, oh, hey, this is going to be a good spot? Or, all right, where am I going to find this school? Where am I going to find this trail of fish coming in for me to be successful?
So one of my rules, and I'm very strict to this rule, is my scouting report. So before I just walk up to a bank, I'll set up where my camp is, where I think my camp is going to be, and then I'll kind of just walk the river line. I'll walk the bank, and what I need to do is I need to identify one fish. Right, that's how, because sometimes you can see them even if their heads pop up out the water for a second, right? And I say, okay, so if I see one fish somewhere in my vicinity, then that's where I'm going to set up, right? And then, because like I said, sometimes it's just a waiting game, right? So that's kind of where my area of operation is going to be. If I see one fish, and if I see two, obviously that's good. But if I don't see any fish, and within maybe 20-25 minutes during my scouting report, we're going to another place, right? Because that's kind of like my rule of thumb that I stick to. Because if I don't see anything within 20 minutes, or I can't spot anything, it's going to be dead. and I'm just going to be sitting there hiding for no reason. But if I see any activity, school really, and it's not really schools of fish that I see. It's tilapia, different um, fish swimming alone. Where I see them, and you find the fish beds, right? That's a big thing. And if I see a lot of fish beds around too, that's another thing that might keep me around if I don't see them just yet. So if I can kind of see, hey, fish live here, this is a habitat, and I can see this is kind of where they set up their shop, then I'll put myself in a position where I can watch that without being so close. But if they pop their head back home, I'm going to take their head away from them.
I like that.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Wow. So I mean, you've got some pretty cool. You've identified a lot of things, and yeah, very hunting, a very very solid hunting mentality there,
Yes.
with identifying key factors and pieces to set yourself up for success. Well done and great share, man. Really, a
Yeah.
very
Thank
great
you.
share.
Yes.
It's been 20 minutes, so we're gonna go ahead and knock out a bait check because we're gonna get
Yeah.
really in depth here on the next set of questions. We've got we're
Let's
gonna get
move it.
into that one.
Let's do it.
It has been 20 minutes. You are on your first bait check, everybody. Yeah. If you haven't caught anything yet, you should check your bait. I mean, you know this. You know how to do this. We don't change it up any show. This bait check is being brought to you by DS Custom Tackle. DSCustomTackle.com, the team out of Delaware, has got rigs, floats, and supporting pieces for you completely all in one location. If you want to make your own rigs, they can get you supplied. You just go ahead and go onto the website, DSCustomTackle.com, order your stuff, get it in, and start building your own. If you want rigs that are pre-tied, they've got you there, whether it's for pompano, whiting, bluefish, striper, big toothy critters, he's got you set up. So DSCustomTackle.com. Man, I don't know where I was going with that one. I'll take a look at that site and get your order in quickly. All right, so now let's talk gear, because this is the part where I think people that aren't in the game really have a view, because you get into surf
Oh yeah.
fishing, they always tell you the simple thing: hey, get a rod, get a reel, get the good equipment. All right, you're good to go. Get out there and sling. Bow, man, I mean, compound bows, different poundage, different draw length, different pieces to grab. Arrows, different types of carbon, wood, plastics, steel. You can go nuts into that world.
Oh man.
So talk to me. Let's start at the bow. Let's start
Okay.
with the bow,
Right.
the equipment.
I do like how recurve bows shoot, but I'm a compound bow guy. I like to set my 50-pound, my 30 to 50-pound, and I like to draw that sucker back. I like how it rotates and spins, and then I love the feel of how it snaps. Right. So the thing is, you can have $150 bow, or you can have a $550 bow, and they're both going to kill the fish. All right, so that's a big thing within the bow fishing community. So what kind of bow? It doesn't matter. I think my bow was like maybe 300, right? And I could literally use anything that's good. Arrows, you have there's different heads. So the arrows that I use, I wish I would have brought them. Right, when you shoot into a fish, do you know how? I don't know if you know how it works. It's two little hooks that hook back, and when you shoot into them, it sticks. Just like a regular arrow, and then the head screws off. Right, so the head screws off, and then you take the arrow out, and you put the fish in. But I don't need to spend thousands of dollars on my gear. Because I have a braided line, which is good. I actually have an upgraded reel, right, to reel in, and then really that's it. I don't need lures, right? I don't need bait, none of that. It's completely different ball game, right? And then I can listen, I had my $20 arrows. Listen, I had my $20 arrows, like 7 of them I shot that are in lakes I'll never see again in my life. So I only shoot now with like the $5, $10 arrows, and I've been killing them by the dozen. So they're gonna do the same thing. They're straight. And so check it out. The arrows in their equipment, right? When you're doing archery, you're shooting a deer, the arrows are very light, right? They're light. Very light. I don't how much they weigh. But with bow fishing, right? These arrows are a lot heavier. They're more they're metal, or whatever material, but they're a lot heavier because they have to be able to penetrate the water, penetrate the fish, keep it in, and then pull it back. If you use a regular arrow, it'll snap, right? You can shoot through the heart of a deer, boom, he's down, but you can't shoot through a fish and think you're going to pull it back because that fish is flopping all over the place. So those arrows are made to be able to withstand that. So even the $5 arrows can, at any of these places, will, can get the job done, right? So, but I make sure I have a lot of them because normally when you go out there, you need one arrow, and that'll last you the whole fishing trip, right? If you have it tied on right, one arrow will last. I had one arrow I used for a whole month. Didn't even need to change it out, right? Just made sure it was straight, did everything, and didn't have to take it off the line or anything. Have to just perfect, right? That's a good one. So literally the bow, the arrow, and that's what the equipment is, right? Anything else you bring is something, I guess, just to upgrade. So check it out. Sights, right? A lot of guys when they're hunting, they have optics, they have scopes. I use 0 sights when I'm shooting. When I aim,
what? You don't have pippers?
No,
Oh.
it's all no, all instinctive shooting, right? And I make pride in that. If you look at all of my videos, there are no sights on my bows. I'm pulling back and I'm aiming where I think this fish is going to be, and that's what makes it so so more instinctive. Like Indian back during those times where they had to be hunter gatherers and all that, right? And that's makes it, when I say deadly accuracy, I'm not looking through a peeper, with long archery. I'm pulling it up and I'm smoking these things from Kentucky windage. Yeah.
I thought that I was just looking at your bow wrong. I was like, oh, I don't see. I honestly thought maybe I was missing it, and then I just completely got distracted by everything else going on in the video, and I didn't think twice of it.
Yeah.
Firing off basic instinct and what where the arrow is going to go, because you obviously fired your bow a bunch of times. You know what your line is.
Right.
That is not an easy game.
And remember, I do this at nighttime too.
Yeah.
So it's where your eyes are is where your arrow is going to go if you do it right. So if I can time it, because timing is so big too. Because fish, you see how fast fish move, and so you just got to time it, time it right, and no aiming. That's why I have it to my cheek here, but I'm not looking through a peep. Sometimes both of my eyes are open. I don't know if you see, eventually as more content drops, you'll see. But sometimes both of my eyes are open and I'm kind of just frowning, and then boom, let it go, and we got some sushi.
Dude, I'm impressed because I've used bows. I happily, I grew up with throwing the old wood bow, step over one leg, step with the other, flip it back.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, here we go. All right, aim down at the target. How far is this? Oh God, you see, it's just nightmare. And then first time with a compound, I remember going, "What's this yellow dot? What's this set to? 25, 50, huh? Oh, I can go farther." So I'm really shocked here. I truly am that you're doing it that way. That is very impressive and seriously well done on that skill. So we talked about the bow and we talked about the arrows. Let's talk about that reel, because this is, I think, where a lot of people, a lot of the reels I've seen, I laugh because I'm like, is that a Zebco? Because it's got the cone. Obviously, you need to go back to our childhood fun ones with the document and stuff like
the little thumb.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So tell us about the reel and how that system works. Please.
So the reel, that kind of reel, I used in the beginning, hated it, don't like it. Right. And another reason why I don't use that type of reel is because of snapback. Right. So it's very dangerous, and a lot of bow fishers dread that. So that's where you shoot, and then the line some kind of way doesn't catch properly, and the arrow slings back and shoots yourself. Right. That happens with those type of reels. So I don't use that. I use my braided line, right? That's on the side of my bow. It kind of looks like a CO2 cartridge, CO2 holder or something. A lot of people are like, what is that? What is that bottle on the side, right? And that's what holds my braided line, right? And that's just, I thought that's so much easier. So I'm left-handed, right? And the way that I have that rigged is I actually tie a little shoestring to the end of the release, and I'm able to pull that down while I'm reeling it in. Right, instead of putting my thumb there and holding the bow, kind of weird. So it's just kind of like a little military thing I did to make it easier for me, right? Because being left-handed, things are a little weird anyway. But But the thing is, I never reel my fish in. So the reel there is just I need it for the strength, and I needed to keep my arrow and to bring it back. But after I shoot, I may reel in a little bit, but I'm throwing my bow on the ground and I'm pulling the sucker in, because reeling it, I could reel all day. I'm not fishing really, and essentially, like, I'm not throwing it out there. I'm hunting these things, right? So I throw and pull my, I'm pulling it in. It's a lot faster anyway too. When you reel it, it's he'll if it's fighting, it'll go a little bit. But if I'm pulling it by hand, he's either halfway dead or he's on his way out. So by the time he gets there, it's a lot better. Then I take it off, then I reel it back while I'm right there. A lot easier, less hassle, and then ready for the next shot. Right, I can do it in seconds. So the reel is. I personally think that reel with the braided line that I use is a lot better, a lot safer. Right, you're not going to have snapback, and it's not going to come. The arrow is not going to come back and stab you in the leg. Right, that almost happened to me once when I used that type of old style reel, or old style reel. Um, but like I said, that's that I don't a lot of guys use it. If you get a good one, you could there's good ones out there. There's real expensive ones that they'll never jam up, or most of the time they won't. But I just think having it on the side helps out with my balance too, because when you have it on the front, sometimes that you'll tend to shoot a little lower, and you just you want to shoot lower, but sometimes you just kind of aim a little lower with that. It's something I found. Every archer is different, but I like it on the side. It feels more tactical for me too, in a way where I kind of feel like I got my magazine here, and then pull back, because you don't have that on a regular bow when you're bow hunting. Anything
Right.
else, that's an accessory that bow fishermen have, and it makes the bow heavier. So you got to actually kind of you know be in a little shape to be out there, especially if you're doing a lot of shots. Depending on where your poundage is set at too.
Yeah. I if you haven't shot a bow before, when I love this, because this is one thing I actually do know I can talk about.
Yeah.
Um, you're holding that thing, and you are holding that 30 to 50 pounds. You're in the lock spot, and basically you are up. And if any of you ever shot a rifle, in the standing position, it's the most unstable position possible, because your arms are out, you're fighting muscle, you don't have bone on support. You're not bone on muscle, you're not bone on bone support. You don't have good any pieces. Like, good God, I'm going back into a PMI class here. But as you're holding that bow, all weight is in that arm. It is
Oh yeah.
in that arm, and that arm is locked, and you are
Locked.
holding, and this one is holding the weight, and that's a lot of muscle tension.
It
So
is.
even 2 ounces of weight on the top or bottom side of a bow makes a tremendous difference.
Yes.
So yeah, that
And
was
with
smart
moving
that you found.
targets.
Oh, dude. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's
Oh yeah.
brilliant, though, that you took your gear and you did, like, all right, this doesn't work for me. I don't like this. You modified it, but you modified it with the thought process of, okay, I know if I've done this, it makes me shoot lower. Let me adjust this so I don't do that.
Hmm.
I mean, that's experience and smarts there. So well done on
Yes.
that thought process, man.
Yeah. Military instinct.
Yeah.
Make your gear work for you.
We don't modify our stuff.
What?
No. Why would
No
I?
way.
The pouches go here. That pouch ain't going there. That don't
Right.
work for me.
Exactly. Exactly.
Um,
Oh
Are
man.
there any other subcomponents that we haven't really talked about here that you think is important that we're missing? What else should we talk about when it comes to that's gear?
Um, you know, there's a lot of guys that do this, and the main way to bowfish, the most popular way, is on a boat at night with the lights. You see them, you shoot them. It's a turkey shoot, right? That's good. That's fun. I'm actually going on a charter tonight, and
Oh,
to do a shoot. Yeah, we're going to be filming tonight. It's going to be really cool. And that's one of the main ways to do it, right? But the way that I bowfish is mostly land, right? I just picked up a little bass. What I'm going to be doing, but it's mostly on land, and a lot of people that have boats that bowfish on boats are not really able to shoot on land and to stalk a fish on land. They're just used to seeing, oh, there it is. I'm way up in a boat. I can shoot down, and then it makes it, it's a little easier. Not taking anything away from that at all. But I'm just saying, this style is I'm shooting more straight as opposed to shooting kind of straight down. So it's the aim is, everything is a lot different. So just bringing this, into the fishing world. And I mean, there's a lot of guys that do it too, but I'm just saying the norm is with boats, right? So the guys that are out there that are like me, that are shooting off land positions and, hiding behind things and walking up slowly, to different, to different water banks, and some fish are brave. You can walk right up to them and smoke them right there, and said, "Hey, that's your fault, buddy. He should have respected me enough to leave when I came up here." So those ones leave. But just this style, and a lot of fishermen, you'd be surprised of the amount of fishermen that really have no idea that bow fishing exists, right? Because I mean, I just found out, a little while, months ago, but career fishermen. It's like, oh yeah, I never knew that, right? I have people come up to me all the time, right? If I'm in a place where I can be seen, a lot of times I like to, go a little secluded. But if I'm in a place where I can be seen, people are coming up to me. Wow, what is this? What are you doing? And just educating, right? It's so cool to educate. I tell you one thing, I've had to educate a plethora of police as well. Side of the highway, catch a little riverbank. I'm walking around with a bow. People are going crazy. Who's this guy with the bow by Publix? Behind Publix is going on, right? So, I have my license. Cops come and they know what the deal is. I said, hey, I'm here. So they just got to come and make sure, I have all my documentation. They're doing their job. So, that's understandable. I've never had any problems with them, but it's just, people see a guy with the bow walking around and they have no idea what's going on.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I can't beat them up for that, but it's legal, as it's legal here in Florida to bowfish, even with the crossbow. That's going to be coming soon too. So,
A crossbow, that's a weird one because I mean,
yeah,
crossbows are beautiful. Don't get me wrong; it's basically shooting. You're just firing the bolt, but the velocity with the bolt catching off the line, holding all the pieces, that's going to be a fun one to see.
Oh yeah, it absolutely is.
So you opened up earlier. Let's talk about nighttime. Because like you said, and for those of you, this is going to sound condescending, people, and it's not meant to be. For both him and I being military, we know, let your eyes adjust to the darkness, and darkness is bright as day. Get very used to it. But when you're playing out there with the moon phases, that's a big one because in the moon phases does affect fishing as a whole. So let's talk about how those moon phases do affect you on night fishing.
I need a full moon. That's what I need. Now I've done it without it, and like I said, when I'm not doing flashlights, because sometimes I tell you the truth, a lot of the big reason too why I don't like using flashlights and just using the moonlight is because people see flashlights and then they see me, they come and investigate, and then it messes up the fish. Like they come running up, or they'll come up and mess the fish, or then the police will come. They got the lights, and I got to deal with the cops, and it's just, let's just be black ops, right? If I'm in the dark, they can't see me, and I'm successful. I take a fish home. We accomplished the mission, right? So the moonlight is definitely good because with the moonlight, and if I can catch a glimpse of a street light or a light from somewhere. I'm able to see them topside. I'm able to see a fish I can see a ripple and then I can see a shadow, but that's all it is at nighttime, right? You're not looking through the bottom of you're not looking through the water, muddy, cloudy water at night, right? So you're only, no, not at all, right? So you're only shooting, shooting at shadows, right? And that's what I'm doing. So the thing is, I have to see the shadow move. Right, because if a shadow doesn't move, it's a log, or it's a turtle or something, and I don't want to shoot a turtle, So I got to see the shadow, and the moon really affects how well I'm able to see that shadow, right? If it's cloudy, or not as bright, it makes it hard. You got to go home, right? Or then or if we want to put lights up, but really it's shadow shooting. with the moonlight, and being able to, and depending on where you stand, how the moonlight's hitting. Because if the moon's in front of me, I'm able to see the shadows a lot better. But if I'm with my back, then it makes it a little more difficult as well. But
Interesting.
yeah,
See, I would have thought the opposite. I would have thought with the moon in front of you, you'd have been dealing with more of the reflection and the ripple off whenever you had a movement. I mean,
maybe
which
I
is
had it
great. You're in a lot of
backwards.
no,
Maybe I had it backwards. Yeah,
you got it better than me, dude. I don't know. I'm guessing here, just but I've also
yeah, the
anytime
moon
I
behind
think
me. Yeah,
okay, all right, because
yeah,
I
the
always
moon behind
think
is better.
you're
Yeah,
on a lot of times you're on still water, a little bit of movement here and there, and that's the other difference. People, I don't want you guys to forget is we're not talking about crazy rolling water. We're talking about something where you're staring at like, all right, well, let me see the movement. Let me see
right.
what this does. So yeah, that makes sense, and I like that you put that in there. Uh, well, let's do a bait check and then let's talk more about nighttime because there is one
Oh
big thing
yeah,
that we haven't hit yet that I know we need to get into.
absolutely.
Yeah, lots of in there.
Let's do it.
It is the second bait check of the episode. By the Kids Can Fish Foundation. Head over to kidscanfish.net and help them out with the really cool things that they're doing with these camps. They take all these kids when the area that they're in and they offer up a camp, whether it's cast net, fishing, surf fishing, inshore fishing, river fishing. They get these kids together and they say, all right, they're going to teach them how to do it. And on top of that, they're going to send them home with the gear. So they go they get a rod, they get a reel, they get a line, they get everything in one stop shop for these kids. And they learned how to do it for the day. And it doesn't cost them a thing. That all goes through the foundation. So your donations help out with that big time with Kids Can Fish. They also have their annual redfish tournament, the big one, the Running of the Bulls out of St. Simons Island, Georgia. This year, there's even more space available. They've got St. Simons and Jekyll Island open. Lots of money. I think it's a $10,000 going in the purses. There's a lot of money involved. And that is all thanks to you and your donations. So come on out to the tournament. If you can, support them. It's just doing great things for these kids. And like they always say, the unofficial, more tackle boxes, less X boxes. Go on out, take a look. Nighttime, and it's a good time. You can't go with that one. So we
No.
talked about the strategies there. Let's talk about the safety precautions because
Oh
this
man,
is
here you go.
this is
Here we go.
Florida,
Here
and
we go.
if you go up to the water and you put your
Yeah.
finger in it and it's either salty or wet, there's alligators and other things in there. So let's talk about some
Yes.
safety features when it comes to nighttime bow hunting.
Yes. Yes. Well, one of the things is don't be so excited to run up to the water and scout out the area and shoot without looking where you're walking first. Right. That's one of the biggest things because sometimes gators they like to rest outside the water at night. So, depending on where you are, it's you gotta use your brain a little bit. A lot of a lot of people don't use their brain these days, but um, you need to be able to be on your P's and Q's, right? Because alligators, now, mind you, alligators probably won't come up and attack you, an adult sized male, for the most part, if you're out there. But if they feel that you're in their area or, and you don't see them, just because you're not paying attention, you're going to get your leg bit off. Right. So, that's one of the things is, pay attention to everything. And I'm on foot, right? I'm not on a boat where I'm protected. I'm walking sometimes and it's dark, right? And I need a flashlight, right? And there's snakes, right? I've encountered a bunch of snakes, right? Just in the woods, right? Not, I mean, no bites or anything, but I've seen them, right? Because I'm looking at nighttime and you can't see them. And remember at night, if I'm going to the woods like a trail, I go to Shingle Creek a lot. You probably don't know, but it's a preserve where we can go. It's very beautiful. You can hike and miles. But if I go there and I'm going to fish the bank line, there's nocturnal animals out there too. That's their, remember this is their home. So I'm intruding, and you remember that when you're hunting, you're intruding, in their natural habitat. So you just need to be able to have something on you to defend yourself, in case, need be. And you can open carry in Florida when you're hunting, by the way, when you're fishing. So that's another thing that gives a peace of mind when you're out there at night and by yourself. I'm alone most of the times, so I wouldn't recommend uh, I wouldn't recommend that. But my military instinct and everything, and how I am, and even when I used to be a bounty hunter, right? When I would catch fugitives, and I was a lot of times I was alone or with another guy, so I kind of keep that in mind too. When I'm out there at nighttime, with the safety precautions.
Holy crap, dude! I never realized how close that was to my. Well, I go down to where you live a lot.
Yeah.
And I used to live in Maitland.
Oh,
So
okay. Oh, yeah.
so
I
like,
know
why
that.
does Shingle Creek sound stupidly familiar to me? And I'm like, I gotta pull it up and look, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh
It
damn, it's right over there
runs.
by friggin' Celebration. I
Yeah,
know
it
where you
runs
are.
long. Yeah, it runs. It runs for miles.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I
Um,
love it.
there's a guy on TikTok, and I think he's on all social platforms. I don't remember his name, and I'm not going to try to look it up or say it. He goes to the Everglades a lot, and his favorite thing is, oh hey, yoink, and he's grabbing all these friggin'
Yeah, the
and
swamp puppies.
yeah, and he's
Yeah,
like, here,
yeah.
look at this, and I'm like, no, 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 this is
Oh,
Florida. You are being ultimate
yes.
Florida man right now.
Poison
Um,
frogs going. What's going on, guy?
so talking, and you started talking about night time, and all I could think was like, oh, dude,
Mhm.
swamp.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find fish. Leave me alone.
Listen. I'll tell you now. I'll give you a little inside that you guys can check out. I'm going to soon when I'm doing my night. I'm going to be getting some content of me at night bow fishing with night vision goggles. That's the only thing I'm using. Is no flashlights, NVGs mounted. I just got to figure out how to, But like I said, I'm not aiming through peepholes, so it makes it a lot easier to kind of pull it up instinctively, pop. So
Dude, that's going to be a tough one because, I mean, you know as well as I do, you get that extra gap. You've got the one, I mean, your eyeballs, for military, you all know this. Your eyeballs don't move the NVGs. Your head moves your side.
oh yeah.
You don't get that in luxury.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, are you going to run monocle or are you going to run a
Yeah,
double?
I'm not sure just yet, but one of the plans too. There's a green light that I'm gonna buy. It's a fish light. I'm gonna
Mhm.
be able to drop that in the water where I'm gonna be, where I'm gonna set up. That's gonna attract them, and then that's gonna enable me to, when it's underwater enough, it's gonna be able to me to see them like perfect shadows, and then just be able to pop them right there in the pitch black.
Yeah, and it won't blow you out because the green doesn't do anything on that for that side
Right,
optic.
right, and it'll be underwater.
Yeah,
So it'll
that'll
be,
that'll help you with the shadow view. Yeah, dude,
The thing is, it's a test. It's a mission. We're gonna try. Maybe we'll fail. Maybe we'll be successful. But we'll
but
see.
but you
But we're
also
gonna
have
try it.
but you now have a reason to pick up a set of NVGs.
Oh yeah. Oh, you see, look at that.
I'm not saying I'm not
Gear,
saying it's
gear,
right
right?
or wrong. I'm just saying I understand.
When would you need NVGs for fishing? Tell me.
Night, hello, I need
Yeah,
it. It is in the
yeah,
need category.
yes. Food, water, NVGs.
Yep, totally. And everybody listening to this goes, makes sense. I'm going to use that for Christmas.
Perfect.
Okay, so we've nailed into a lot of cool things here, and let's hit one of the most important ones that kind of in a way is this. And you and I both have played this one, the lessons learned category, because that's always the way we get better is lessons learned.
Yes, yes,
So what
sir.
are some of the top fishing mistakes to avoid, and how can people that are getting into this continually improve their skills and knowledge to become more successful if they go down this route?
Um, to be successful, lessons that I've learned, a lot of this really ties down to paying attention to detail, right? Learn knots. That is one of the biggest lessons that I have learned. And I'm bringing it up again. My $20 arrows that I lost, right? Learn how to tie knots properly with bow fishing or any type of fishing, because I'm sure you've had rigs before that you've lost because you didn't, your knot wasn't good. But that's very important. Make sure you tie knots, especially if you shoot somewhere, you shoot into a log, and then the arrow's somewhere far away you can't reach, and it's sticking out, and everybody's walking by the bridge and they can see your arrow, something like that. So, um, pay attention. Paying attention to detail is definitely a lesson that I've learned. Making sure you're mentally ready to go out there, right? Making sure you're mentally prepared mentally and physically, prepared to to go out there and do what you can do, because it's patience, right? Sometimes you don't. Sometimes you want things now, and especially if you have a good track record of success, good, and then you stop hitting for a few days, and then you're like, oh man, am I really a fisherman? You kind of question yourself, but then the next day, you shoot a bunch, so it's like, okay, all right, here we go, we're back. So mentally, just know, not every day is going to be the best day, right? And that's a lesson that I had to learn, was to have fun. Go out there and have fun. It's not just all about numbers. It's not just all about, if I don't, sometimes I go out there and I don't even see anything good. I'll take a pop shot at something I think is moving, right? But I just have fun of like the hunt, the thrill of the hunt, like tracking fish, right? How do you track fish, right? But tracking fish, right? Ripples and patterns, and seeing where they, I can get into tracking fish. That's a whole different thing. But that's a big lesson, is have fun, pay attention, be patient, and be prepared, mentally, physically, spiritually.
Good stuff right there, man. All right, let's move into the digital world. Let's talk about content creation, because you're
Oh yeah,
doing that. You're going to be one of the guys, one of the pioneers in a way. I mean, because there's not a
man.
lot of bow fishing channels.
No, it's not. It's not. That's why this is the beginning. Oh yes, and I
Totally.
have, yeah, I have some things working up right now. I'm filming tonight on a bow fishing boat. We're gonna have the lights. We're gonna be running the little bayou. Oh man, it's gonna be, it's a lot. It's a lot. I kind of want to show like a little, like my own little reality show style, to drop, so that'll be on YouTube, and everything we have going on. So, but just like I said, this is just the beginning. This is just, I'm a month into content creating with just this, right? I've done other things before. I have a whole production company and everything, but this is this is new, and I think, just like you said, it could be something that could take off.
Yeah. Well, so what had made you decide, all right, I'm doing this? I mean, you obviously, like you said, you got a production company, but you decided, I'm going to combine these. What made you do it?
You want to know? That's a good question. That's a very good question. Um, I didn't have any intention to do this at all, right? I was having fun, but then when I seen the reaction of people to what I do, they were so fascinated. They were like, "Wow, I've never in my life heard of this. I've never seen this in real life." Right? There was times where I actually killed fish in front of people, and they were just, right. I actually got one on video one time, right? And that's happened a bunch of times before I would even film. And I said, "Wow, people seem really receptive to this. This seems really, especially if I'm killing these invasive species, right? But whether, it really doesn't matter. You're shooting a bow and arrow into the water and pulling back a fish. That's, breaking it down Barney style. And, people seem to really like that. I sent a couple of videos to my dad, and, he showed a lot of his friends, and he said, wow, they're watching it like a movie, right? And it was just really cool. And I said, wow, okay, maybe I can show the world and educate people on what this sport is, and bring more light to, this, because you don't know, people have these bow fishing competition teams of 3 and 4 and 5 winning like 30 grand. It's crazy. Teams, then have like 10, 15, 20, 30,000, 40,000, $50,000, right? For some of these teams. And I had no idea. No idea. And I said, I can go and I'll shoot any of these guys. Are you kidding me? Come on. So, but the thing is, I had no intentions of doing it. And I just saw how people thought this was so cool. And I said, hey, if you think it's cool like me, let me see if I can show more people. And that's where I said, okay, this is something I should be showing the world.
Man, yeah, you're going to have fun.
Yeah.
It's weird how that happens, though. It's like, I have no intention of doing this. Huh, here I am doing this. It's just like,
You're
oh,
absolutely
okay.
right, man.
That's what we're doing this week.
You're absolutely right.
What role does digital media play in your approach to fishing, and does it help your experience, hinder it, anything like that?
Oh, well, it definitely, I would say, help, because in a way now I can see that it's a positive thing, and people like to see something that I like to do. right? Something that I love to do is interesting for other people to see. So that kind of, in a way, is motivating. It motivates me to continue to put content. It's definitely not going to hurt. Now I'm at a phase where I can only draw back if the camera's running right now because I don't want to miss any kill, right? Unless I go out there or something. I just I'm feeling it out. I want to see if I can catch something. But it's the social media, um, the whole digital media and all that definitely enhances the experience. For me, I believe at the 110%.
Okay, cool. Then that's a good win then.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the creative process then. How do you plan, capture, edit, and share these experiences? How do you do it all?
Right. So sometimes I'll have a camera guy. Sometimes I won't. I'll have my tripod with me. Actually, tell you the truth, majority of the times I'm alone because it's very hard to find somebody that is able to keep up with me in this Florida heat, right? And to be able to get the right angle, the right shots, to be as patient, right? And to be there. So I set it up myself, right? When more content comes out, you see a lot of my drone footage, footage of me and my little bass boat running around, little special forces boat, and that's kind of how I'm going to plan to do it, right? I use my DSLR camera. I was using my iPhone, and I said, hey, I have these cameras, man. Let me just use my good camera and put the content out. It'll make it a lot better, the quality and all that. That's kind of what I'm doing now. I have some really good drones I'm able to put in the air and capture. But when you start to see more of my content open up, because right now it's just clips, right? I'm just putting clips, put some music, but when I start to really put out like production style stuff, it's going to change in everything. You'll see what I'm talking about in the future.
I'm looking forward to it, man. I mean, 'cause
Oh
you got a
yeah.
lot of cool stuff. Though. You're just talking about it, I'm like, all right, I'm in. What do you got?
Yeah. What you got?
So
Yeah.
with the start of it, I love that you brought up. I went from my iPhone to the DSLR, yeah, because glass is so much fun to purchase for those
Yes.
cameras.
I'm telling you.
Oh, oh God, I'm just having flashbacks of buying my wife lenses when I did. I'll never forget when
Uh,
I got her a macro for Christmas, and I'm like, how much was that?
oh really? Oh
Um,
man.
I could have bought a very nice optic for my for one of my things
Oh,
with
there you
that.
go.
What was that?
That's a lens.
That's a lens. So
Oh
yeah,
yes.
the
Okay.
production piece with that's going to be
Yeah.
huge. That's going to be a nice
Oh
change.
man.
Um,
Hmm.
so you've been doing this for a few, but you've been running production for a while. So let's kind
Yeah.
of pull this one into that one.
Hmm.
Uh, what have been kind of the all right lessons learned? Like, all right, I know I shouldn't do this with this piece when I'm going to put the content together, and I need to do this. What are some of those things that have stuck out to you?
Make sure you have music that you're able to use and you won't get in trouble. That's a big
Dude,
thing.
that
I've
is
learned that.
huge. You get friggin'
Oh,
slapped quick.
bro, man, I have learned that, buddy. you know, that's very, very important.
Oh, that hurts.
Yes, yes, yes. And I mean, simple. Even a song you probably nobody's probably ever heard, you found somewhere. You use it and then say, "Hey, copyright infringement." So that was back before we were, you know, knowing how it actually works. But obviously now we've learned from that. So that's just make sure everything is yours. Make sure everything's legal. All right, make sure you can use everything. Make sure you're not shooting anything that's not supposed to be shot. Like on camera. So a lot of that plays a really big factor with it. And something I would like to do that maybe I haven't done before with just marketing is I think I want to run more ads. Before I didn't run as many. Um, doing with certain things, just trying to do it a certain way. But ads are so, man. If you have a pretty good budget with running like Facebook, or YouTube ads, they can that really boosts your numbers, which ultimately helps.
Yeah. Dude, that music. It took me like friggin' 2 weeks to find a friggin' theme
Yeah,
song for this podcast. And I'm
yeah.
all
You
like,
see, you
what the hell?
you
What's
just
what's
know.
free? And then, oh, dude, the crazy one was this. So
Uh-huh.
the one I use with Twisterium, they
Mhm.
do all their stuff for free. I double
Right.
checked it. I had to double that one, and I started getting tickbacks from like, "Hey, the owner doesn't let you." And I'm like, and it was Facebook only. I'm like, "How does the owner not let me?" But YouTube does. And finally, I was like, "Let me find this guy," and I find someone that is linked
Uh,
to it, and I send an email, and he's like, "Yeah, just pay me $50. I'll send you the license." And I'm all, "Mm, something about
sure.
this smells a little off, guy."
Yeah, a little
Um,
fishy.
and then yeah, they finally found it. It was like, no, don't pay money. Look, if it's at duty free, no, I don't remember what the proper term is. But if it's free use, then it's free use. It's gonna stay free
Right,
use. They can change at any time to non-free use. You'll get another message
right.
about it. But that game of finding all that stuff and the right
Yeah,
one, and then the
exactly.
royalties. If you don't, it's like, all right, hey, I want to use your stuff. Okay, cool. It's going to cost you this. Okay,
Right.
prices
Yeah.
can change. Easily,
Hmm.
prices can change unless you have a contract.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's
You
like,
know, and you know what makes it harder? It makes it harder when you find a song that you really love, and
oh,
it's
I
like
know.
this is the one I want, but now it has all this baggage to it. You know? Yeah,
Uh,
I know
that
exactly.
hurts.
It
But
hits the heart.
that's a good one, dude. I mean, that no one
Yeah.
else has brought that up before. And as soon as you said it, I was like, I know your pain.
Hmm.
That
That's
is,
production stuff. That's
yeah.
production stuff.
And if
Yeah.
you're not in that game, you would never know.
Not at all.
There's
Not at
so
all.
many weird, I want to call them fringes. There's just a lot of side rules that you wouldn't really expect, and then you find out the hard way, and it hurts.
Exactly. Exactly.
Ugh.
Exactly. Yeah, the hard way. It's never the fun way.
No,
To
it's
tell you that.
not. Sorry, as we sidebar there. My bad.
Yeah, yeah.
The whole
You're
episode, I
good.
only did it once. I'm proud of myself, man. Normally, it's like 5 times.
Yeah,
Um,
no, it was natural. We flowed with it.
yeah, yes. Uh, and I know you've only been doing the recording piece for a short time, and you've been doing this one. So, from
Mhm.
where you started to, all right, now I'm going to do content creation. Would you say it has helped you become a better angler?
Yeah, I'd say so because now I'm purposely trying to think of more creative ways to shoot fish, right? And more creative ways to educate people how I shoot fish and maybe they should shoot fish, right? So, that's one of the things that, we're doing.
So, with the social game and all the pieces put together, you've gone through all of it, and you've honed it in, and you're going to get better. It's
Yeah,
obvious because we all get better as we go.
absolutely.
And you've played you've got a huge leg up, in my opinion, of having your own production company because you have seen a lot of the pitfalls that you're going to possibly run into again.
Yes, yes. Well, hopefully I can identify them before they actually get there and then try to avoid them and then do things better. Because, like you said, we all learn and we learn from, things from before as they arise. And, that's how we have to approach it.
Yeah. So I commend you for that, man, because I know
Thank
that
you.
that part ain't going to be easy at all.
No, no, not at all, man. Not at all.
So I guess the big one, I'm going to ask that at the end there. Have you had anyone in your corner that's been a mentor to help you out as you've grown and done this from the bow fishing and content creation?
No, I haven't.
Look at you. You're
Not at
self-made.
all.
Oh, this is
Yes.
awesome.
Not at all. No, I'm telling you, not one person. I'd say if I could give anyone credit, it'd be Jesus. That would be it. I there's nobody in my corner that helps me, that shows me, that taught me. YouTube didn't even teach me. I was doing this first and then looked to YouTube. So saying, what? How should I put my elbow? How should I put my body? Let me see. And then so okay, let me try this way, and then shot better. And said, okay, here we go. Myself. So
So
yeah.
good. So
Mhm.
good.
Yes.
Oh man. All right, so let's get into I'm gonna do one more bait check. I'm gonna do the final bait check of the episode, and we're gonna get you the closing questions and get you out of here, man. You've been great. This has
Okay.
been a lot
Yeah,
of fun.
it's been a good time. I had a great time.
Like,
Yeah.
this bait check is being brought to you by the Sinker Guy. Go over to thesinkerguy.com and take a look at everything that Chip's got going on in the Sinker Guy garage. Need sinkers? Got you covered. Weights all day. Anywhere from 1 up to, I think he's doing 6 ounces now. And he can do specials if you need. Rigs, the Bruno rig, the Uno rig, totally set up, all in there. If you need all that set up, it's done. Support equipment, scissors, fish tying gear, floats, all that. It's a one-stop shop. Go on over to thesinkerguy.com, get your order in today. So with the final pieces here, man, what knowledge would you give to somebody brand new starting out on this venture of boat?
Oh, yes. When you're starting out, don't try to keep up with the next guy because everybody learns differently. Everybody has a learning curve. I was fortunate enough to start hitting right off the bat and started shooting fish, right? But I don't believe that it's like that for everybody that starts off that's brand new, right? So if you're shooting and you're not hitting and you're a week into it, and 2 weeks into it and you haven't caught one fish, um, don't give up. Hone in your skills. Adjust fire, right? Figure out why maybe you're not hitting because I've had times where I've gone out 3 or 4 times and I've seen fish and I've popped at them and I've missed. And I was like, man, it's discouraging. And then it's like, man, I can do it. But I didn't start out like that. So if you start out and you're discouraged from the get go, don't be. That's what I would say is don't be and just keep going. With everything, just like with everything in life. If you find yourself loving to do something, then it makes it a lot easier to actually do it.
Very good. Well done. What do you think has been such a reason that bow fishing hasn't really hit the mainstream so much?
Because fishing is taking the light over. It's taking because fishing. It's been around. Everybody knows about fishing. It's the most popular water activity. Right? So that's kind of really overshadowed anything else in the fishing realm. And you're using a weapon, right? Even bow hunters don't even really know. A lot of them don't know what bow fishing is. Too. Right? It's very crazy. So we got the hunters and the fishers that don't even really know what bow fishing is, right? Obviously there's a huge community, but having to say there's a lot that don't, right? So just trying to make more light on bow fishing in itself is something that I'm trying to do and trying to educate the world and show them, hey, I'm doing this, but I'm doing it with the unique twist to it.
Well done, and you're
Yeah.
going to do well with that.
Yeah.
Let's make this one easy then. So as far as staying
Okay.
connected, where can people go to find your content, follow you, and get all the good information that you're doing?
Yes. So you can check me out on Instagram at it's the_Finn_Reaper 47, right? You can just type in the Finn Reaper and it'll come up, right? The Finn Reaper Bowfishing. I think that's the name I'm going to be using. So you just type that in, and if you go to YouTube, right, you can see him building the channel there. You can type in the Finn Reaper Bowfishing, right? The just like the Grim Reaper, right? But the Finn Reaper Bowfishing. That's so you can check me out on those two, and then from there, when we have more things available, more sources available, then you can, we'll have announcements on there. So the Finn Reaper, just there it is.
Perfect. I love it. I love the name.
Sir.
All right,
Yeah.
final question. Get you out of here, man. What's next for you?
So, man, what's next is content and unique style content that not everybody puts out. Because when you have something that stands out, it'll take you somewhere that'll make you stand out even more, right? So, right, what's next for me is content. I want to try to see if I can do this, a show style like TV reality show style content. So I'm going to be playing around, some ideas. But that's ultimately, the next step, and still educating, creating more awareness on bow fishing, right? On the aspect of hunting and fishing together. That's what we got going on.
I
Yes,
look
sir.
forward to watching it, man. I truly
Yes,
do. I
sir.
think you can do great things. I think you're going to open a lot of eyes and
Yes.
make the community a lot of fun.
Yes, I appreciate it, man. Thank you, man. It was good talking to you too, man. I
All right.
appreciate the time. I appreciate the time, giving me and taking time out of your day and letting me explain, kind of, what this is in this field that's not new, but it's very very small niche.
Hey, I
Yeah.
enjoyed it fully,
Yes.
completely. I mean, thanks for just
Yes.
sharing it and your knowledge and your story and your life, man. It's been
Absolutely.
great, and I know this won't be the last time we'll chat. We'll definitely keep in touch, but
Oh yeah.
I look forward to next time, man. We'll talk soon.
Yes. Absolutely. Thank you so much again, man. We'll talk soon.
All right, we'll see you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, there you go. Vincent the Fish Reaper Williams out of Orlando area. Going to be doing a lot of really cool things. All his pages will be linked back on findingdemosurffishing.com on the website for this episode. You can find it in there. You'll also be able to find it linked back on if you found this on social media or whatever podcast platform you were playing it from. It will be linked on there as well. So you can just hit it, instantaneous drag right over, and you can follow it all. It's going to be really good. I truly, truly believe that. Thanks for sticking around as always. We appreciate you. I love being here every week with you in your ears, and I look forward to continuing on with you. You've been listening to Finding Demo Surf Fishing. I'm out of here.